women officers can sail with the same efficiency as male officers, the Supreme Court has said today as it cleared permanent commission for women in the Indian Navy, maintaining that men and women officers should be treated equally. Let's go across to Vishnu Som for more on this. So Vishnu, what does this now mean and what were the arguments put against this?
Well, there were all sorts of arguments which were put against this. For example, the physiological conditioning of women and was different from men, and therefore they couldn't serve in equal roles. So this judgment of the Supreme Court, as far as the Indian Navy is concerned, follows very closely in the footsteps of what the Supreme Court had ruled in the case of the Army, whereby they allowed permanent commission of women into almost all the arms of the Indian Army, but not in combat arms. Now, there's an important point over here. Does this verdict of the Supreme Court actually result in women being allowed to serve on board Indian Navy warships? At the moment, Indian women are not allowed to serve on board Indian Navy warships. And this is something which a lot of individuals have said is a sexist policy, a policy that needs to change, and something that needs to be in line with the functioning of modern navies all over the world, which allow women to serve on board warships. Now, it is our understanding at this stage, as we wait for the final judgment to come in terms of what we can read of the judgment, that that the Navy has been asked to look into whether it would be possible to accommodate women on board warships. Now, if women are accommodated on warships, if they serve on board warships, then it means that there is a strong possibility of women being allowed to go into combat on board Indian Navy warships. The argument which has been raised by the Army is quite different from the argument which the Navy would raise. If you are out at sea on board a state-of-the-art warship, then the physical challenges that you face are very different from the physical challenges that, say, an infantry soldier would face. A modern warship is essentially is highly automated. You are operating automated system. It requires an extremely high level of education. It requires an engineering degree, which is what the Navy offers. So therefore, you have engineers essentially who are commanding warships, who are taking executive decisions, and therefore the argument that there are physical differences between men and women which prevent women from serving in these roles doesn't appear to make very much sense. That being said, one needs to go through the judgment to see whether there is enough in the judgment to suggest that women will be allowed to serve on board warships, which would pave their way eventually to go into combat on board our Navy warships.